Since we're currently living in an era of constant horror remakes and reboots, it's only a matter of time before we get a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And unfortunately, a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie likely means one thing: a new actor playing Freddy Krueger. And look, I know this sounds sacrilegious. I love Robert Englund's performance as Freddy as much as the next guy. No actor is as closely connected to their iconic horror character as much as Englund is with Krueger. Jason, Michael Myers, and Leatherface were played by many different, big, hulking stuntmen. Roger L. Jackson sure voiced Ghostface in every Scream movie, but 9 different characters and actors donned the robe. The only actors that even come close are Tobin Bell as Jigsaw and Doug Bradley as Pinhead, but neither match Englund's legendary 8-movie run as the Springwood slasher. And yes, sure, a new Nightmare movie could follow the route of the recent Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, having Englund play an old man version of Krueger. With the makeup, it would be extremely easy to hide his age. However, Englund has said multiple times in recent years that he's done playing Freddy and has no plans to return to the role for another Nightmare on Elm Street installment. And that's totally fair. The man is 74. It has been 19 years since he's last played the character. Jason Blum did recently say he thinks he can get Englund to return once more, but even if he did come back for one last film, soon it will still be time to pass the torch. So, in this video, I wanted to highlight my favorite choices of actors that I think could take the mantle from Englund and play Freddy Krueger in the next Nightmare on Elm Street films. For those completely unfamiliar with the character, Freddy Krueger is a child murderer who killed 20 children but was released on a technicality. Seeking vigilante justice, a group of local parents hunted Krueger down, trapped him in a house, and burnt him alive. Years after his death, Freddy returned to the town as a supernatural entity, seeking revenge on the parents by killing their now teen children. And the way Freddy kills these victims is within their dreams. Well, inside a victim's dreams, Freddy essentially has unlimited power and can manipulate the dream and kill the sleeping person in any way he thinks up. Freddy gains his powers from fear. The more people that are afraid of him and that know his name, the more power Freddy has. Looks-wise, Freddy has a burnt face from the fire. He wears a Christmas-themed red and green striped sweater and a fedora very fitting for a child predator. Freddy's signature weapon is his knife gloves that he used both in his early child-killing days and within the dream world. In the Nightmare films, Freddy Krueger is much more comedic compared to his other stoic slasher villain counterparts. He's no mute like Jason. He's witty, he cracks jokes, and within the dreams he kills people in ironic and goofy ways. Turning a girl into a cockroach and trapping her in a roach motel, transporting a nerd into a video game, or smashing a girl's head through a TV.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
In the earlier films, Englund's Krueger was much more menacing, more serious, but as the sequels went on, Freddy definitely became a little bit too much of a jester and a joker. Personally, I think the next Krueger shouldn't be as over the top and silly as he is in the later Elm Street sequels. The character needs to have a balance. As an audience, we still want the underlying dark humor and wisecracking one-liners, but for the most part, Krueger should still be an actually frightening entity. Leaving the theater, you should be afraid to fall asleep. In terms of age, Robert Englund was 43 when the first Nightmare film came out. I think a slightly older actor works best, somewhere between 35 and 45. He needs to be old enough to be the same age as the teenager's parents, as he represents the sins of the previous generation. He also needs to have a presence to him, a strong, distinct voice, and some gravitas. It would be very odd to have some 23-year-old Gen Z Krueger chasing teenagers only a few years younger than him. He needs to have a sense of maturity and stature. But at the same time, it just doesn't make sense to replace the 74-year-old Englund with a 65-year-old actor. They need to find an actor that can play the character for the next 10, 20 years if need be. So yes, even though he's a popular choice, I don't think the 66-year-old Willem Dafoe is the best choice. Same goes for the 63-year-old Kevin Bacon. I firmly believe both would make just fantastic Krugers for 1 to 2 films, but then in 2029, we'd be right back at the same problem and recasting the character for a 4th time. While I'm mentioning recasting, I do have to mention the fact Freddy already was previously recast in 2010 by Jackie Earle Haley. Haley was cast as Krueger, coming off his role as Rorschach in Watchmen. And I will say, I didn't totally hate Haley in the Freddy role. Haley definitely wasn't the worst part about that remake. No actor could have succeeded with that terrible script. I mean, come on, it's already hard enough to live up to England's legacy, and that movie did him no favors. Though don't get me wrong, I also definitely didn't love his version of Freddy either. I understand they went for a more serious, darker take on the character, and this in theory could work. I think Haley's Krueger just went too serious, rather than an 80-20 mix of horror and comedy. Another major issue with the 2010 version of Freddy was the fully CGI face. I think with the new Freddy, you should be looking for an actor with unique facial features that can be built upon rather than completely hidden behind visual effects. For example, think of Bill Skarsgård with Pennywise. They didn't have to CGI his entire face because Skarsgård already had interesting features that could work as the foundation for the character's look. Skarsgård has large eyes and a large forehead. By simply adding makeup and digital touch-ups, his face transforms from uniquely handsome to completely unsettling. This last point in the what I'm looking for section perfectly transitions into my first choice for the next Freddy Krueger.
Psych!
Say hi to my cat. Hey everyone, so this part of the video is completely unplanned. I was just editing this video right now, and I realized if I was going to make the full video as planned, it would be nearly 20 minutes long, and I wouldn't even get into the premise of the video, the actual casting of Freddy Krueger, until like 8 or so minutes, which really just didn't seem ideal. So kind of on the fly, I set up my lights, my little guy back there, grabbed a microphone, turned the camera on, grabbed my cat, threw him out of the room, and I filmed this little, well, what I'm doing right now, just so there wouldn't be an awkward cut. I'm gonna cut it into part 1, everything you just watched and are currently watching, the history of the character, history of Robert playing the character, again, everything you literally just watched. And then next week, I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes of the video and talk about my 7 casting choices, plus like 15 honorable mentions. So a lot of actors listed. But yeah, this is part 1. Next week will be part 2. That'll be up on my channel, hopefully a full week later. Also comment, I guess, letting me know your predictions. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Yeah, comment your I'm just making up as I go along. Comment your predictions, who you think I'm gonna pick. It's kind of a fun little guessing game that came out of nowhere, so that's a benefit of the part 1, part 2. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling. This is the end of this video, part 1. Next week will be part 2, so please come back for that video. Please comment down below. And I'm probably going to cut to the part of the video where I have that little subscriber graphic and my little channel explanation. You know, if you've watched any of my videos, this is a really pointless part of the video. You can leave now, but the video is gonna keep going, but there's really no value gained in watching this right now. So anyway, I'm gonna cut to that little graphic right now.
Psych!
If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, Horror Flicks with Nick. Twice a week, I post horror reviews, commentaries, and short recommendations for horror movies you should watch on Netflix and other streaming services. Anyways, again, this is part one, the unplanned part one of my Casting Freddy Krueger video. Next week will be part two. Please tune back for that. Please comment below. I think I've said please comment below like 4 times already. It's 1 in the morning here. I'm kind of tired. I don't think I'm going to edit anymore. Just a little update. I'm watching Dance of the Dead in the background as I edit. Not great. It's like a Ghost House Pictures movie from like 2008. It also had like 12 trailers, which is, that's one of my favorite things of having like physical media. I'm holding the microphone in front of my mouth. But one of my favorite things of having like DVDs from like thrift stores is just the insane amount of trailers for movies you've just never heard of. Movies that have gotten like completely lost in time, never made it to any streaming service at all. If you wanted to watch the movie, you'd have to order like a DVD from Amazon. Otherwise, there's just no record of these movies existing except for the 30-second trailers before whatever movie you were planning to watch, all narrated by the exact same voiceover trailer guy. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, this is a video. Again, if you're still watching this, I don't know why, but see you all back next week. Peace, love, I don't know. If you're still watching, come up with a name for that guy. I'll see you all back next week. Thank you for watching my video. Okay, bye. Bye.